Hey, what's going on, everybody? I want to touch on this subject right here, and it's going to be controversial, but don't get your panties in a bunch because this is what my experience has taught me and what works for me and why it doesn't. What works for me with marriage doesn't necessarily work for anybody else. But you shouldn't discount what I'm saying because what I'm saying is based in facts. Okay? There are three different types of marriages. Okay, there's three different types of operations of monogamous marriages. Now, monogamous marriages, I can tell you a lot of reasons that monogamous marriages struggle so much. Monogamous marriages are not for selfish people. So anybody in even so much the crevices of their heart have any type of selfishness, it's not going to work for them at all. Just forget it. It's a ticking time bomb, and at some point it's going to go off. So this is why 80% of in particular the black community, this is why 80% of the divorces that happen that are filed by women. We have a society today that uplifts our women, which I'm cool with. I'm for women being treated fair. I'm for women having their rights. I'm for women being able to pursue their happiness. I don't have any problems with that at all. I love women. I love all women. In particular, I love black women. But I'm for all women having the ability to do that. Okay? Let me just make that abundantly clear. Okay? Now, these are the three different types of operations for a monogamous marriage. You have the husband that works and the wife that stays home. You have the husband and the wife that both work. And then you have the both of them don't work. Okay? Extreme, yeah. You say, well, so let's attack the obvious eliminator, okay? So I'm going to eliminate them. Okay? A marriage where a husband and a wife doesn't work can only work if they have income coming in without them having to work to take care of the things they need to take care of and live the lifestyle they want to live. So it can work, but that's what you need for it to work. All right. And you have to have a propensity to be able to tolerate each other for long periods of time because you may be around that person a lot. All right. So let's eliminate that. So now, why does marriages not work where a woman goes out there and she has, let's just say she has a job, and a man goes out there and he has a job? Why doesn't that work? Well, number one, if you have children, how can you raise children if you're not available? Yes. If you take your child to the daycare or schools, if for an example you take your child to the bus stop in the morning and your child goes to school from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, that's 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. That's 5 hours. And let's just say at 2 o'clock, your child goes to some type of after school program until you pick that child up at 6 o'clock. Your child is being shaped by anybody but you. Because what do you think you're going to accomplish with your child from 6 p.m. getting them and 9 p.m. typically you're going to send them to bed? What do you think they're going to accomplish? What are you going to accomplish with them? Granted, some of us grew up and that's all we knew. But that's not a natural function either. Okay? And if both mom and dad are working the exact same shift, 9 to 5. Okay? Where they may alternate. You go get dinner, I go get the kids. I go get dinner, you go get the kids. Now both of them are not involved in their child's life. So if your child's being molested, it's not under your watch. If your child is being mistreated, not under your watch. If your child is being taught something that they don't have no business being taught, not under your watch. I remember me and my ex-wife, we had a babysitter. She found a babysitter. And we went and pulled up on the babysitter about 10 minutes early. And our children were in there watching BET. We don't want our children to watch BET, but we're not there to control the situation. And some of you say, well, that's why, but that's the consequences. We both work. Okay. If you're both working like that, I would strongly recommend that it is seasonal. It is to get to a different destination. But if both the husband and the wife are out there working, and you guys aren't investing or whatever the case may be to replace that income or whatever the case, eventually you're going to hit it to the point where you're going to say, it's not working no more. And in particular, women, you don't have time to waste, because the older you get, the worse. Now, with my black women, there is some amazing physical preservation. And the old adage is black don't crack. But it don't say nothing about your bones. Ask a beautiful, fine woman who's in her late 30s. Does she feel like she feel? Did she get out of that bed the same way she did when she was 18? Nope. Ask her, does she have to do a whole lot to maintain her figure? Because it came so easy when she was 18, 19, 20 years old, in her 20s. Even for me as a man, I don't have a biological clock, but it's like when I became 30, I had to start doing things that I didn't have to do to maintain my health. When I was in my early 20s, I could eat anything that I want, drink anything that I want, do anything that I want, and I still look good. My body was still intact, and I ain't have no issues. I got to my 30s, all kinds of things start popping off. Things that shouldn't have popped off until later start popping off, because the residual effects of me not doing what I should have done in my earlier years was catching up to me. And that's what's going to happen. And even when you're young, and let's just say you're young, you get married. Let's say you're married and you're 23, 24 years old, and he's 23, 24 years old, and you get married. Even when you get married, it's just the things that you did in the beginning of your marriage and got away with, you're not going to be able to do it when you are getting older, because it's just going to catch up. Father Time is undefeated. So I can go through a laundry list of that. And I don't want to spend time on why I'm not a big... The first one that I eliminated it first because it's not realistic for most people. But it is the ideal situation to be in if you found your best friend. Because your best friend you want to be around and spend time with. It hurts when you're married to your best friend and you don't get to see them a lot because they're working. And then, like I said about both people out there working, it's even worse when, one of you work 9 to 5 and the other one works, goes into work right after you come home from work. That's terrible. So you don't get to see each other. Then there's going to be things that's not fulfilled by each other. So you get married with this notion about financing, and that's important. Finances and economics is very important for marriage, but it is not the only thing. You can have a great financial foundation, but you could be going about it wrong to have a financial foundation. and end up tearing up something that's good just simply because of the lack of availability. Your best ability is your availability. You're upset because your wife is not in the mood when you come home to spend time or do the Watusi, but she's tired. She's tired from the day. She's already vexed with the things she deal with emotionally. But now she's shouldering the load that a man is supposed to shoulder. She's not going to be into it. In her earlier years, she can pull that off. But in her later years, she is not. Like, please stop. Can you get off of me? I'm tired. I'm sleep. I'm tired. I just want to take a shower and go to bed. She's a totally good person. And she has a good reason. But at the end of the day, it's like, why would you want to be committed to somebody that's not available to you? And the answer can't be because I'm working. So that leads me to the man working and the woman. And I listen, I could have go with the fourth where the woman's working and the man's not working. I could have did that, but I'm not going to do that. All right. I'm going to go with the man working and the woman staying at home, taking care of the house and the children. Some of you driven women out here, some of you motivated modern women out here, you balk at me saying that. You want me to stay at home all day and this, that, and the other, da, 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 da. I've even heard some women say, if I stay at home all day, you better be able to provide everything that me, that my children, and this household needs without fail. Because if you don't provide it, I can't be with you. And if a man, the dangerous thing is if a man has this dynamic and he has a job, he really doesn't have 100% control over if he's going to be able to work that job until his retirement years. And even if he does work that job at his retirement years, listen, every 20 years, the cost of living doubles. This is a fact. Go look at PolitiFact. Okay? Every 20 years, the cost of living double. I'd imagine the things that we've been through in the last few years, and it's 2022, with the pandemic and everything, the economy, I'd imagine that's going to accelerate even more. But the statistics that we have currently says that it doubles every 20 years. And if you lived long enough and you were renting or whatever the case may be 20 years ago, whatever you're paying right now to live in where you're living cost half as much. Tell me it don't. My mom used to tell me about how her mortgage was $35. I could not imagine. Then how she was in an upheaval because her mortgage went up to $135 because she did something to put my daddy on the mortgage because she wanted him to feel secure that, hey, what we're building together. Kudos for her for doing that. But it cost her $100 more. Okay. Once upon a time, you could go to the grocery store and you could kill it with $100. Not so much now. $100, and $100 might be a bag of food, depending on what you get. Go get you some meats and stuff like that. $100 right there. All right. So when we start talking about the dynamic of a monogamous marriage where the husband goes out there and he makes the bread, he produces, he provides, and the wife stays home and she cultivates. Now that key word is cultivate. Okay? Because whatever you give a woman, she magnifies, good or bad. All right? Here's why today's modern woman has a problem with a man who wants a woman to be a stay-at-home with the children because she wants to make money. I want you to think of the chessboard. And I want you to think, some of you might not be familiar with chess. If this goes over your head, then daggit, this ain't for you. But those that understand the basics of chess, what's the most powerful? Okay, the game is about the king and getting a checkmate. But is the king the most powerful piece on the board? Nope. Nope. The king can only move he can move in any direction, but he can only move one step. One step. The queen can move in any direction just like the king, but she's not burdened or beholden to one step. She can move in one direction across the board. She can move in one direction back. She can move one direction left. She can move one direction right. And she can move in any diagonal. King can't do that. So we have women who they balk at being a true queen to her king and staying at home and taking care of the king and taking care of the children. Because she is taught that mama doing that, grandma doing that, and great grandmama doing that. They did it because they didn't have options and they didn't know any better. Yet prior to the civil rights, we had some of the highest state rates in marriage. And you guys say, well, no, they stayed because they were gonna die trying. That's not true. My grandmother and my grandfather, rest in peace to both, they did not stay together because they were unhappy together. So don't have this preconceived notion that the reason that folks didn't get divorced back in the day is because it was some trial or it was harder or whatever the case may be. Folks that didn't want to be with each other at any time in the history of this world didn't stay together. They might not have gone out there and got a physical divorce, but a legal document doesn't make you more married than a legal document make you divorced. Marriage happens and divorce happens before paper is signed, just like when someone dies. The death certificate isn't the beginning of the death. It is a legal document that confirms what has already happened. Some of you are in relationships right now. You're legally married, but you are divorced. Y'all don't sleep in the same bed. Y'all don't rock with each other. Y'all are just roommates, just going through the motions. And you might have sex sometimes. But anyway, I want to share with you how a monogamous marriage can work to the point where the husband has access to his wife and children anytime he wants, which is what it's supposed to be. And a wife in that dynamic, she can still achieve her dreams. Even better than her working. A job, albeit with a strategy, is purposeful. But without a strategy, a job is slavery. And when you sign up for a job, it's no different than becoming an indentured servant. Do you know what an indentured servant is? An indentured servant is someone that does slave work, but for pay. And low pay at that. Think about some of you right now that work the job that you work. Paid whatever you paid. Are you getting paid what you're worth? Are you getting paid what you're worth? No, you're not getting paid what you're worth because human capital. They are trying to squeeze blood from a turnip when it comes to you. If they're paying you $100,000, if you're fortunate enough to make six figures, if they're paying you $100,000, you're profiting them more than they're paying you. No business in their right mind would ever pay an employee to the point where it's not beneficial to the company. So if you're making $150,000 with a company, you're probably making that company 10 times the money from what you do. And psychologically, you're too brainwashed to come up with the notion that if I gave myself 40 hours a week in my business, how much would I make compared to what I am making? See, you believe, because you don't walk by faith, you walk by sight. You believe, since you've never done it before, that you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to fall flat on your face and you're going to put your family in a bad situation. Now, I want to come back to that dynamic of a man working and a woman and a wife staying home. And here's how it can work in that dynamic. For some of you that want to refer to the Bible, it's very easy. Proverbs 31, verse 10 on. It'll tell you about this virtuous woman. But I want to just speak, I don't want to speak biblically. I want to speak naturally. All right. Let's say a man goes out there and he makes $55,000 a year. Okay. If our men and women in particular, if they could just be satisfied with the man being able to take care of the essentials, quality food, quality place to stay, and quality protection. Okay? We're not talking about shoes that cost $1,000. We ain't even talking about shoes that cost $500. We're not talking about these expensive clothes. Some maybe, for certain occasions. But just to be able to go to the store, you got to have the drippy drip. We're not talking about that. See, that's a female mindset, not a lady mindset. And really, not a woman's mindset. So if you're like that, you're not even a woman. You're not even a lady. You are a freaking female. And females and males are jungle babies. They have no discipline about them. They have no structure to themselves. They go for the highest bidder. They want what they want, and they want to get what they get. Now, men want different things than women. So males, they hunt for women for sport. Females, they make themselves available to the highest bidder. That's just it. If you're a female and money plays a pivotal role in your allowance of selection of men, then you're a female. We ain't gonna call you no bad names, but I just told you, being a female is just an undeveloped human being, and being a male is an undeveloped. You're born into the world as a male or a female, period. But you don't. If you stay a male and a female, then you're just an undeveloped individual. You're just an undeveloped individual if you're doing that. You have to develop into a man. You have to develop into a woman. And then you have to take extra classes to become a gentleman and extra classes to become a lady. Those are AP courses of life. That queen can move anywhere on that board. If she moves foul, she can expose her king. But if she moves with wisdom, she will magnify her king. She will help her king win. It's so critical for a wife to help a husband win. Does a man need a woman to survive? No. But does a man benefit from a woman? Yes. She elevates him to levels he can't be elevated to. Beyonce has a song that is called Upgrade You. Listen to it. Jay-Z was already that guy from a provisional standpoint. So he didn't need Beyonce for provision, but he needed Beyonce to help him birth something greater than what he could produce. Remember, one is not a multiple, but two is. Everything you do as an individual is subtraction and addition. Everything that you do as a multiple is multiplication and division. So the consequences aren't as great for an individual as it is for a couple. And the value of the W's that they get in their life is not as great for an individual as it is for a couple. Because I could say 1 + 2 is 2, right? I could say 2 + 1 is 3. And I could just 2 hours later. I could be just, and 157 + 1 is 158, right? But that's not the same when I start talking about multiples. When I talk about a multiple careful consideration brings multiplication and magnification to what you're doing. When you're out there working as individuals, most of the time, there is a power struggle with that. It's a fight over, it's a competition. It's a fight over who wears the pants in most situations like that. In most situations, men are supposed to be leaders. And ladies, I'm not saying submit to any man. Submit to a man who's worthy. But you have to stop these unrealistic expectations of submitting. I can't submit to nobody because I need somebody to be able to ball. And I need somebody to be able to provide me everything that I need. Before I hang up my work coat, I need to know that you're going to be able to provide. So if you ain't making millions of dollars, get out of my face. But here's where our women miss it. And I got to be quick here. Here's where our women miss it. Number one, when you're married to a man and you're good stewards over the money that comes in, you have presented yourself as an asset, ladies. If you don't allow him to do frivolous things with his money and you help him understand the details that you see about being a good steward over that money, and you help him multiply his bag, no one will ever question the value on you just on that. But you got so much more to give. You got so much more to give than just that. But if you just conquered that alone, you're better than 80% of the women out there. And even if you're not as attractive as other women, if you have that type of reputation of being able to be a good steward, you're still better than the ones that look better than you. And a real man's going to see that. Don't you notice how men can, you ever seen a man married to a woman and it surprised you based on the way the woman looks, why he's married? Why would he marry her? Why wouldn't he marry somebody like me? I have a friend of mine that posed this question to me once, and she said to me, why is it that these extraordinary men seem to marry these ordinary looking women? I said, because it ain't the ordinary that is the concern. It's what you don't see that is of great value to a man. It's amazing. Men are visual creatures, but when a man is logic, he doesn't lead with his vision, his visuals. Women are emotional creatures, but when women filter their emotions through their logic, they make wonderful detailed decisions because they are already detail oriented. And the sight line for a woman is different than the sight line for a man. So here's how this works. All right. Hold on a second. All right. So let's say this man makes $55K a year and she doesn't make anything because she stays at home. Remember this, ladies. Emotions allow you to be short-sighted. So when you're looking at this thing from a big picture standpoint, you don't see it if you're emotional. But a woman who masters running her emotions through her logic, a woman will get this. Watch. $55,000. Okay? And let's just say out of $55,000, I'm going to say $5,000 is what they can save or what they can keep for themselves. I don't like the word save, and I'll tell you why later. But they take that $5,000 and let's just say they bought an IUL. They bought a couple of IULs and they contribute $2,500 each year to that IUL. Each two IULs. One for her, one for him. They turn that IUL, they do it in such a way where the majority of their money is going towards their cash value, and then the minority of their money is going towards insurance cost. Okay, that will enable them for a death benefit for each. That if anything happens to both of them, or one of them, let me say that if anything happens to one of them, then the survivor would get the death benefit. And when they got the death benefit, they could turn around and take that death benefit and they could put it back into an IUL, creating a tax vacuum. Now, why is it important to have a tax vacuum? Because if you have a tax vacuum, that means you're hedging off taxes. You don't have to pay taxes if you take it out structurally correct. I know what I'm talking about. I'm an insurance agent. I'm a broker. I'm giving you free game. Now, if they're earning anywhere between 8 to 10% on their money each and every year, and it is compound interest, the snowball effect will be huge. So I don't want to get into illustrations. If you want illustrations, make sure you hit me up and I will help you. All right. And right in the description, you'll see my email and everything like that. So you'll be able to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you. Okay. Now, just on that alone, this person is going to be earning anywhere between 8 to 10% every year. So when the market does good, they're able to benefit. Yes, they'd be able to benefit. That's what I was going to say. But if the market doesn't do well, they don't lose any money. A lot of you have 401ks, IRAs, and some, CDs, stocks, whatever the case may be. And the market does this right here, and you go on that roller coaster with them. And the problem is when you lose a certain amount of money, you gotta earn double whatever the interest rate that you lost in simplistic form. How long is it going to take you to earn the money that you had before you lost? So if you have $100,000 and you lost $50,000, how long is it going to take you to get back to $100,000? The Great Depression, I think it took like 25 years or so to recover from the loss of the Great Depression when people lost their money. That's just one way. And you could have a retirement free, and if you do live, so it protects you if you live and it protects you if you die and it protects you in between. You have access to that money like 2 weeks after you start one. So just like you put money in your bank and then you need money, then you take it out of your bank, you can do that with this too. But the great thing about this is congratulations, you have become your own bank. You have become your own bank. You stay consistent to being there with your husband. You stay consistent there for him. When he come home from work and he needs a recharge, you are available. You don't have to fight through the tiredness and this, that, and the other. Yeah, well, I have children. We had children. You know what they call nap time? Nap time is also an opportunity for the adult to be able to recover. And if you're strategically smart, my wife, She takes those children and she gives them activities to do and or nap time. And this gives her an opportunity for herself. When I come home from doing what I need to do on a day-to-day basis, my wife isn't like this. My wife is charged up to give me charge because I'm like this. But the difference is I don't say no because what I need from my wife is critical because my wife provides me something that I can't get on my own. Femininity. She provides me femininity in a boatload. Everything from conversing with me, everything from the physical, everything from the spiritual, and everything from an ambiance and an environment. She saves me money because now somebody's here to help us cook, and she cooks with pride. And you know what I do in return? I share with my wife. There's no lordship over her. This is my damn money. No, she makes it possible for me to do things that I wouldn't be able to do. Do you know how I would feel about this mess with COVID? Being around other children, other adults, monkeypox. And you need to get your kids up out of there. You need to get your kids up out of those situations. Now more than ever, you need to homeschool your children. My wife homeschools my children. My children are thriving homeschool. And you know the difference between homeschool and regular school? It's 30 of them jokers in a class. And guess what? If my kid is doing well, my kid's got to wait for everybody else and their pace. Or if my child would be behind, my child would have to wait. My child would have to, everybody else would have to wait, and they would have this no child left behind philosophy, and then they would be advancing my child, and my child's not ready to advance. My wife gets to be one-on-one with those children. But she looks out for the details, things that we can look at investing. She goes and she sees it, whether it's real estate, whether it's investing, whether it's anything. She sees it, and I don't have to see it. All I have to focus on is the big picture. I'm looking straight, and she's right by me, whispering what I need to know. And I trust her because she has a vested interest in the turnout being great for what I'm doing, because she is equally yoked and involved in what I'm doing. That Medicare business, that's hers, just like it's mine. It's no 50-50. It's 100-100. It's just 100. The other businesses, that's hers too. See, first of all, we're friends. First, best friends. So no matter if things are going good or bad in our relationship, if we're feeling each other at that moment or not feeling each other at that moment, the friendship never changes. I remember my old pastor, he had to bury his wife because of breast cancer. And he sat there at the funeral and he said, every day we weren't lovers. I didn't love her every day, but we were best friends every day. Y'all get that? Some of you are marrying money. Some of you are marrying materials. Some of you are marrying sex. Some of you are marrying some of the most meaningless things long term. Because when gravity hits, and for ladies, your body isn't as flattering as it used to be, or fellas, you're not able to physically do what you used to do, or whatever the case may be, it's going to be what substance do you have as an adhesive to hold you together? And some of you, it's like starch. Starch is like an adhesive, right? That holds molecules together. But it's unnatural, right? It's man-made. But natural compounds being held together by a natural source is lasting. And that's what you want in your relationship. Some of you aren't used to seeing each other. And here's another thing. Some of you will spend years with each other, not seeing each other because both of you work so much or whatever the case may be, that when the opportunity presents itself and you're able to spend more time with each other, you find out you don't like that person. Some of you stay together and raise the children. And then after the children are raised, you say, okay, baby, you can come home from work. And then she comes home from work. And then you both discover, I don't like you. You need to go back to work. And the next thing you know, you get a divorce and you wasted precious years. You didn't even know that you liked this person. You knew that they work. They look good. You know, I'm trying to smash. They trying to smash. Hey, this can work. Smashing and money. They don't work like that. You got to actually have a bond of love and respect with the person that you're with. That woman should want to respect you. And that man should want to love you. And it's not easy to respect and love somebody sometimes. But can you respect and love the person that you're with in the good or the bad? You have a hard time staying in marriage, right? We have a hard time staying in marriage, but we don't have a hard time keeping our friendships for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years. We don't have a problem with that. You should be trying to marry somebody that you don't have a problem staying with for 40, 50, 60 years. Not the person. My brother used to tell me, don't marry the one that you can live with. Marry the one that you can't live without. That is so true. Because your partner is going to pluck your nerves. But if it's that surfacey to make you come to a conclusion that you don't want to be with them, it wasn't worth anything in the first place. I can't speak for my wife, but I can speak to me, speak for myself. I know that there are things about me that pluck my wife's nerves. But and often that things that I do and say that she doesn't particularly like. But if I didn't have something of great substance to be an adhesive that kept us together organically, it would have been over. And I'm not here to predict that my wife is going to stay with me forever. Nobody can predict that. I hope she does. I intend to. But what I am saying is that's what's helped us to stay together all of these years. It's never been forced. Never been forced. So back to the subject. Just that right there. Being able to could you imagine if you put $2,500 a year, just that, into a cash value account, and you were earning 8 to 10% on that money every year, right? Up to. No question. This isn't new. This is just one strategy called indexing that's been around, but it hasn't been made public. Not to name drop, but the ones that have those infomercials and TV telling you to buy term, invest the difference, and this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be, their portfolio doesn't reflect what they're saying on a large level. They may be doing that on a small level, but what they're not telling you is as I was saying, what they're not telling you is that indexing strategies and things of that nature, they do them. They do them. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example. The Rockefeller family has used this strategy. And they win either way. They win while the people that they insure are living. And then when those people die, they make even more money. All of the people, think about that. All of the people that need you for something, you could take out insurance on them, and then you could be earning cash value on them. And whenever they come to you for money, you don't have to go in your own pocket. You could take that money out and you could give it to them from the cash value account and tell them to pay you back. You win while they live, you win while they die. But in the Black community, we don't even know about that. We just don't want anybody in our family asking us for nothing. Instead of saying, you know what, you come to me a lot for stuff. I want to make sure that your spouse and your children are taken care of. But I'm going to do it in such a way that I can benefit from it while you're living. So when you're asking me, I have no problems taking care of you. But if anything happens to you, I can make sure that your children are going to be taken care of. Because I love your children. I love your spouse. Just like a sister or a brother or whatever the case may be, I want to make sure that they square. But we don't even get into those conversations. But look, that's one way. Another way is she could be taking the money and she could be just saving it, right? Let me tell you something. When you put a lot of money in the bank, they don't just let you, it's because it's yours, they don't just let you just take it out under a lot of conditions. They don't just let you just take it out. They'll say, oh, well, that money will be available for this, or we got to go over here and we got to get the money from here, and it's going to take us time to this, that, and the other, or they give you a limitation. Remember when that Brexit stuff was happening and it was curtailing people on what they could take out? See, banks do fractional banking, and in the fractional banking that they do, it actually lends out 90% of your money, and they earn interest on that, and they don't share that interest with you. You're almost better just taking that money and putting it at home, putting it in a shoebox. You're almost better doing that until you can figure out interest accruing accounts. But that strategy that I gave you with the cash value, it's called infinite banking system. Now, a lot of agents, unfortunately, because we live in a greedy society, a lot of agents don't set it up to work out in your best interest, because the agents typically get paid. I'm giving y'all some game. Somebody gonna hate me for this, but typically an agent, when an agent sells insurance policies, they don't get paid on how much money is going into cash value. They get paid on how much money is going into the insurance aspect of it. They get paid on an insurance. So what would you think that a person that wants to make a sale is going to do? They're going to do what's in your best interest, or they're going to do what's in the best interest of themselves? No way. No way. If most agents sit around and they say, hey, look, I can make $10,000 on this policy if I do it my way, or I can make $1,200 on this policy if I do it their way. They're not going to tell you that, and they prey on your ignorance. It's my people perish for their lack of knowledge. All right, so let me wrap this up because I don't have that much time. But let me dive a little deeper. Okay, instead of that queen, instead of the wife going out and getting a job, that's the prime opportunity for her to start a business where she can control her hours, and she's not exchanging hours for dollars. She could get into real estate. She could get into life insurance. She could get into not life insurance, just insurance in general. She can get into a lot of things where she can control her time, that she doesn't have to tell a boss that she needs to check out, she needs to take some time off, or whatever the case may be. Here's the reason why. Because if that husband says, I need you, she doesn't want to have to jump through a whole lot of hoops to be available. And her number one premise shouldn't be making money. Her number one premise should be to her husband. I know y'all don't like that. But fellas, if it ain't like that, don't roll like that. I'm telling you, you don't want a woman who their career and their money and their endeavors are more important than you. For any kind of wife that you get, you should be number one. Don't settle for anybody that won't put you number one. And not somebody that will put you number one begrudgingly. I'm talking about somebody that naturally wants to put you number one. Like you are the major and their career is the minor. Because real men don't care about your money. All right. Now, if she is working a job, the problem with her working a job is most of the time, men don't have access to women's money. That's her money. So if she is working a job, I would recommend that it's temporary with a clear-cut vision on when the exit strategy is going to be and what is the purpose for her working. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if she's working and she's taking her money and she's doing frivolous things with it, doesn't matter if it's for you, for her, or the children, if she's doing frivolous things with it, what's the purpose? No purpose. Man makes 50,000, a woman makes 50,000 after taxes. Majority of her money, if she's not paying bills, majority of her money should go into investing for her, you, and children. If she's seeing and she's moving in a way that benefits her the most and nobody else, that's the red flag. She's not a woman. She's not a lady. She's a female. And females are fallacies, just like males are. She can see if a woman is not made to carry weight. She's not built the same way a man is. Figuratively, literally, she's not built to carry a ton of weight. She carries weight in different ways. She carries weight emotionally, okay? But she's not designed to physically endure what a man is able to endure. She can, but it breaks her down much faster because she's not built for it. Say what you want. That's a fact. Tell me, go look up the world record for a woman bench press and go look up the world record for a man's bench press. It's going to be about 200 pounds difference. And both of them train hard to get to that apex. But a woman's physical peak is not the same as a man's physical peak. And that doesn't make women less than men, and that doesn't make men more than women. Because where men are greater physically, women are greater emotionally. It's a balancing act, folks. Duality. Women can juggle multiple things. I want you to think of me lifting a bench press and me having two 45-pound weight plates on one side representing 90 pounds. And I want you to think about a woman, and I want you to think about her having 9 10-pound plates on the other side. When I go to lift that weight, it's going to be balanced. But it's going to look like a whole lot more over here on the woman's side than it does a man's side. Now, what's being misconstrued is that women feel like men don't have much to deal with. But the weight of what a man has to deal with justifies it. And then we look over here at women and we say women has all of these different things to deal with. She has more things that she is juggling, but she's designed to juggle more. And if it's the correct amount of weight, she can manage it. Men might be responsible for predominantly providing and protecting. And a woman might be responsible for cooking, cleaning, watching the kids, raising the kids, making sure they get to the PTA meetings, making sure that she gets her hair done, make sure that she gets her nails done, make sure that she gets this done. Maybe go over there and run this errand at this store, go over here and pay this bill, go over here and do this, go. Those things are just as important as the things that a man does. It doesn't carry singularly the same weight as singularly what a man has to deal with. One 45-pound plate weighs much more than a 10-pound weight plate. But as I said, him working with two 45-pound weight plates equals 90 pounds, and her working with 9 10-pound plates is 90 pounds. She's just as valuable as he is. She just functions and operates different, and she has different amounts of things on her plate. Men are tunnel vision, and men see the big picture. Women are more detail oriented, and she see the details of the picture. A guy that was speaking once. He said, no, it was a woman that was speaking, and she was a world-class track athlete. And she said, my daddy told me to go get the Nike contract, but my mom, she was the one that was taking me to practice. She was staying on me about my studies. She was going and getting me shoes and spikes for my track meet. She was paying dues. She was paying fees. She was working on all of these different types of things. Daddy just told me to go out there and get the contract. And that's how it works. Even in the animal kingdom, we look at a lion, and we look at a lioness. The lioness is the most skillful of the hunters, and she do most of the hunting. The king is just there to protect. And a lot of times when she goes out there to hunt, she go with her lioness pride members. She may take the teenagers with her so they can help learn. But in actuality, the king is there to make sure that the pride stays intact. He has a job, but his job isn't the same as hers. Where we get in trouble is we try to compare what a woman does to what a man does. Y'all are designed as women to do things that men just aren't designed to do. You see some men out there holding it down by themselves with their children, and they're doing what women do and what men do, but it's not a natural function. And it's the same thing. You have women out there that are taking care of their children because the man's not around, and she's doing a good job, but it's not her natural function. And being out of your natural element. Look, a lion is a bad, you know what? But if a lion is in the water with saltwater crocodiles, he is going to lose. He has no advantage in those waters. Now, he may come out victorious. The odds are he's going to get eaten. Because if that alligator gets, the alligator's a better swimmer. And if that alligator gets those teeth around that lion, it's over with. So we have to understand what our elements are. We have to understand what our lanes are and how we can best serve one another. But men were put here for a specific reason, and women were put here for a specific reason. And just because we can do other things doesn't mean that we're supposed to be doing other things. We're supposed to be so assignment centric, and we have to be so role oriented that we can come to get the outcomes that we're looking for. Because nobody wants to work all of their life and have nothing to show for it and can't pass anything on to their children. But y'all got it all twisted and y'all got it all wrong. So a woman is best served with no weight on her so she can move freely, just like the queen on the board. Okay? And men can't move so freely because they got the weight of the kingdom on their shoulders. And everybody in the kingdom needs to make sure that the king is there, because if the king is there, if the king is not there, any pride without a king is an exposed pride. And that's what you choose to do when you decide that you don't. And the elites know that. They know that if the king is not in the building, the pride is vulnerable. So we're going to wrap it up right there. I have to wrap it up right there. Please make sure that you like this video, share this video, comment on this video, and also make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you need to get in contact with me for bookings, or if you just have some questions that you want to ask me, please put them in the comments. But if you can't, just put them on in my email provided below. I really love you guys. I really want you to take into consideration what I'm saying and what it means to you, and take a look at the big picture, okay? I love you guys. Take care.